Good morning, boys and girls. Today we are going to be learning another topic in economic management science. However, this topic actually relates to economics. Now, you may be sitting there wondering, what is the economic problem? Well, I'm going to tell you now. The economic problem is that many people have unlimited needs and wants, right? Unlimited meaning there's no limit, there's no bound, it can be over and above, right? But unfortunately, we have limited resources. So simply what that means is that we want more goods and services, but we can't have everything we want because of money, land, and materials that are limited. Now, that definition in itself is basically what another word or another way of saying the economic problem is the problem of scarcity. Now, when people say, when people say things are scarce, like how a lot of people say coal is scarce, right? Meaning that there's not a lot of it, so it's going to finish eventually, right? So this is actually the problem of scarcity. For example, not enough workers to produce all the goods that people demand. Good morning, boys. Many of you may be sitting there wondering, I understand what the economic problem is, but there's no example to actually help me understand that is relatable. Well, you were wrong. Here's the example here that I'm going to explain just now, which is going to help you understand the economic problem a lot better. And in the next few slides, we're going to go in detail of the economic problem and how we can actually solve the economic problem. Let's look at this side, this example. It says that Sammy saved 100 rand. She sees a nice shirt, a tie-dye shirt, for 90 rand, and a handbag with a flower on it for 50 rand. But unfortunately, she only has 100 rand. Therefore, she cannot buy both due to limited money. So, Sammy sees this nice shirt for 90 rand, and obviously she only has 100 rand, but the bag is 50 rand, so she can't buy both because she only has 100 rand, meaning that her money is limited. So, what can she do? She now has to make a choice on whether she wants to buy the shirt or she wants to buy the bag. Now, this is exactly how we solve our economic problem. Remember, our economic problem, we said, is that many people have unlimited needs and wants, but we have limited resources. So what do we have to do? We have to choose, just like how Sammy had to make a choice. This is how we solve our economic problem. By having to choose. We choose one thing and we give up something else. Just like how Sammy chose the shirt and she gave up the bag, we choose one thing and we give up something else. This is known as opportunity cost, and this is one of the many ways in which we can actually solve our economic problem. Now we're going to talk about effects. Who does this economic problem affect? As we can see, it affects three main groups: individuals, businesses, and governments. How does it affect individuals? Now, under each picture and the names of the three things that it affects, it has a little reason why it actually affects those three people or those three groups. Okay, let's look at individuals. It says individuals face economic problems based on how they spend their money, save for a new phone or go to the movies. Just like Sammy, right? Sammy is an individual and she only had 100 rand and she had to choose between a bag and a shirt, right? It's the exact same situation and this is how it affects individuals. Businesses face economic problems by deciding what products to make using the limited materials that they have. So the whole economic problem is that we have limited materials, limited money, which is why businesses face such a big problem because they only have limited resources that they can use to actually make these products, right? And the next one is governments. Governments face economic problems because they have to choose what they spend the money on. They can either spend it on roads or on hospitals. Yeah, so they have to choose. It's their choice, right? That is why governments face economic problems. Now that we've discussed who the economic problem actually affects, we're going to discuss how we can solve it. We can solve the economic problem by using our four factors of production. Our four factors of production are the first two L's, the C, and the E. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Now, when we talk about land, agricultural land, for example, farming land, for example, right? This allows us to actually appreciate in value over time, making it a valuable asset, right? Now, this is how we use land to solve our economic problem, right? Labor increases productivity and efficiency through division of labor, brings skills to the production process, such as South Africa's mining industry. There are skilled laborers who play a crucial role in extracting minerals such as gold, right? That's how labor actually helps us solve our economic problem and increases productivity and efficiency, and it brings skills to the production process. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is capital. And usually, when people think capital, they think money. Well, if you're thinking money in this case, you're wrong. Yes, economics does relate to money, but in this case, or mostly in this topic, we look at capital as machinery, big machines. Like when you go to the factory, you see these big, massive machines. I'm kind of in the way of the orange one right now, but the point is you can see that it is a machine, right? So when we think of capital, we don't think of money, we think of machines, right? These machines can help businesses to manage risk and uncertainty. That is how capital helps us solve our economic problem. Entrepreneurship, you can see a man standing there and he's selling some things. Entrepreneurship means a small business. So I'm like towards the end of your grade 7 year, you do a market job to teach you entrepreneurship, right? Where you have to do a whole business plan and stuff like that, and you have to sell. This is entrepreneurship, right? It creates jobs and opportunities for economic growth. So that's how we can solve our economic problem as a whole. Now